What stands in the way of the realization of your realization is an idea of who you should be, of who you should be, what you should be, and how these things should present, and how these things should present to the world you experience, to the world that you experience. Each one of you before us is acclimated to an idea, being that supports an identity, that's deeply entrenched in fear, that is deeply entrenched in fear. Now, the idea of fear must be understood first. The idea that I will not get what I want, the idea that I will not get what I want, that I will not be met the way I say I should, the way I say I should, that I will not be seen, that I will not be seen as I would have others see me, as I would have others see me. All of you ascribe enormous power to the others that surround you. Who they are is who you think they are, is who you think you are, and what you think and what you see. Who you are is who you think they are, and what you see is your own prescription, The idealization of others, the powers they have over you, what they think they mean, what you think they mean, how they should be seen, are all in some ways idealizations of outcome that you have claimed, in agreement to an idea that is only an idea. The man that I loved, who does not love me back, should have loved me back, should have loved me back. The child that I raised should be the man I say he should be the man I say he should be. Most of you decide in advance who another is to you, without any exploration. You decide in advance how they should be treated. What you will offer them, and what you will claim in return. When you release the idea of who another is, and can allow them to be shown, to be seen, to be realized through you, as you see, unhindered and unfettered, with the eyes that see truth, you go into a new agreement. That who stands before you, whoever he is, whatever she is simply being. Every other idea you hold about them, and every other idea you hold about them is your information, impressed upon them through a collective field, that tells you what to think, how others should behave, and how you should be seen, in agreement to that. When we teach through Paul, we comprehend his limitations, we comprehend his limitations. He is learning these lessons as we teach them. He is learning these lessons as we teach them. We will say to the man before you, to teach today, if you simply allow us to teach today and don't mind what we say, you will benefit later. The opportunity we have before you today, is to re-see each of you, beyond your idea of what was, beyond your idea of what was, beyond your idea of personality, beyond your idea of personal history, beyond the entrenched meaning you have given your abode. Your circumstance, your dilemma, your challenge, beyond those things that you use. Beyond those things you have used to support an identity, that was initially claimed, in agreement to an idea that you are separate, Now, the idea of separation must be understood. You cannot be separate. You may think you are, but you may think you are. Your agreement to separation, born through the collective field. I am not one with my neighbor. I am not one with my neighbor. I am not one with that man over there. I am not one with that man over there. How can I be one with God? How could I be one with God? Has been so entrenched in reality that you anticipated, expected to be, and called it into being, again and again, without understanding that what you are doing is precluding the divine, experientially, although the divine is quite present. Now, we speak of the divine Now, when we speak of the divine, we speak of source, we speak of source, the source of all things, the source of all things imagined and seen, all things imagined and seen, all things unseen, all things unseen, all potential, everything you can imagine, everything that you can imagine must be of God, or nothing can be in God itself. And God itself is not a man, not a thing, not a being, but a level of tone, in love, in awareness, in agreement to you, and in agreement to you. You don't see sound, but you experience sound, You don't feel light, but you see light, You may begin to comprehend God. You may begin to comprehend God as something that always is something that always is, that can be known experientially by and for you, We say for you intentionally, and we say for you intentionally, because if God is for you, and with you, there is nothing ever to be frightened of. There is nothing ever to be frightened of. Your idea of fear in its entirety is born in separation, It will not be enough. There will not be enough. I will not be seen. I will not be seen. I will not get what I require. I will not get what I require. The world will not come to the end I wish. The world will not come to the end I wish. I will never be loved. I will never be loved. All of these statements of fear are born in lack. All of these statements of fear are born in lack, in agreement to separation, Where you stand now, individually and collectively, is at the end of an idea, You are at a precipice, you see. And what is ending is separation, and what is ending is separation. But for the small self, that is an apocalypse, an Armageddon, I am not who I thought I was. I am not who I thought I was. I will not get what I say I should. I will not get what I say I should. I will not meet my fate as I wish. I will not meet my fate as I wish. What happens instead? What happens instead is completely experiential, Most of you don't understand this. Most of you don't understand this. The awareness of the presence of the divine in all ways in all ways is an acclamation to what is already present, that has been obscured or denied, The challenge of the times you sit in. Again, individually and collectively, is that what you see in evidential experience, or the remnants of an idea, are the remnants of an idea born in separation. Every wall built, every war fought, every war fought, every idea of separation may be addressed is actually on the brink of transformation. We say transformation intentionally. Because some of you anticipate collapse. With a certain kind of relish. Oh, there will be more damage. Something else to fear. We do not offer fear. But we do support you through change. What stands in the way now, with the basis in separation, is the idea of a self, that cannot be loved, that does not know she can be loved, He can know love. He can know love and be the recipient of it, The aspect of the Creator we'll call love. The aspect of the Creator we will call love, because God is beyond love. As you could ever understand love. Would be the small drop of love. That is always in you. That is amplifying and amplifying. As the monad, or the Christ within, that seeks to receive the entirety of you in love, and maintain itself through your experience of being, through your experience of being. Underline the word being. Underline the word being. It is your being that matters. It is your being that matters, less so what you do, less so what you do, and not at all what you get, and not at all what you get or think you should have or think you should have. Those are all creations. Those are all creations of the solitary self, the separate self. The separate self, who has been taught through separation, anticipates more of the same and anticipates more of the same. Our agreement to our students. Our agreement to our students is always the same, is always the same. We know who you are. We know who you are. We know what you are. We know what you are. We know how you serve. We know how you serve beyond any idea you could hold. And the reclamation of each individual and the reclamation of each individual is sung and celebrated, in the higher octave, that we call the upper room, as you each enter and agree to be the recipient of your good, to be the recipient of your good. Underline those words. Underline those words. The recipient of your good, your recipients, your allowance, your reception to the source of all things in the upper room. In the upper room will actually offer you everything you can imagine, will actually offer you everything that you can imagine, which is in alignment to truth. It may not get you what you think you should have. It may not get you what you think you should have by prior prescription, but to be in the upper room. But to be in the upper room is to be received by God, as God is the source of all things, and as God is the source of all things, you become its recipient. You are claiming your inheritance. You are claiming your inheritance in the upper room. And by doing this, we suggest, you are releasing your reliance. You are releasing your reliance on the affective fear upon what you've created, upon what you have created. Now, there is an aspect in all of you. That has never known fear, that has never known fear, that can't conjure fear, that exists beyond fear and time and space, We'll call this the monad. The true self, the Christ within, You may call it whatever you wish. It really matters not. But this untarnished aspect of you, the innocent self that seeks to be reborn as you, has not been instructed, in the language of fear. Does not predicate his choices upon fear, doesn't decide who her friends will be, doesn't decide who her friends will be, who she should listen to, what she should endow with authority, through the action of fear. This aspect of each of you is seeking to be reborn, in congruence with its source, the source of all things, realized in form as you, underline as you sit, as you be, You must understand, friends. We are not deifying you. You're already holy. You've just damned yourselves. You have just damned yourselves in your shame, in your denial of God, up, down, and sideways. To the level you don't know which way is up, to the level that you don't know which way is up, or how to make a true choice, This aspect of you that we call the monad, is in her knowing, and it's knowing in its knowing. It knows what it requires. And it vanquishes the darkness. Because it is the light. It claims the light in all of its encounters. And as this is done, a world is made new through presence. And being. The calamity of the times you sit in, The calamity of the times you sit in, the apocalypse you see. The apocalypse you see is the apocalypse of fear, is the apocalypse of fear, losing its strength, losing its doctrine, and those who would support fear. And those who would support fear, would claim you in fear, or would claim you in fear, are being seen without their anchors, their moorings to the old, because the old is ending, Now, what is the old, Paul asks? Now, what is the old, Paul asks? It is a world claimed in separation. It is a world claimed in separation, the denial of mind. It is the denial of the divine that has claimed structure and form, that has claimed structure in form. It has claimed prisons. It has claimed prisons. It has claimed destruction. It has claimed all separation. It has claimed all separation. When you understand that God is, when you understand that God simply is, God is the one note song expressing his all manifestation, much of what you experience, and much of what you experience, born through separation, is the dilution of this, or the lowest octave, that you may know, while in form you may claim anew, but you will not claim the new, but you will not claim the new when you are being convinced by others, by the small self, that you require the old, that require the walls, that you require the walls, that you require the fence, that you require the fence, that you require the shame, that you require the shame, that you require vindication, or the need to see others in pain, or the need to see others in pain, for not giving you what you think you should have, because we love you. And when we say we love you, that simply means we know you. That simply means we know you as you truly are, not as you've described as identity, not as you have ascribed an identity as only truth, but as you can only be in truth. We can lift you with outstretched arms, to a level of tone, where your experience of self is in deliverance. Now, we use the word deliverance intentionally. You understand the idea. Deliver us from evil, deliver us from the past, But what deliverance is in this instance, is restoration, from an idea of separation, that has always been a lie, that has always been a lie. In truth, a lie will not be held. In truth, a lie will not be held. And as we know you in truth, as we realize you in union with the source of all things, you claim your inheritance. Not because we say so, because it is your birthright, but because it is your birthright. When you claim these words after we speak them, you create the alignment and the allowance for the restoration we are instructing you in today. And the restoration or deliverance from the idea of self and separation. From the idea of self in separation is an enormous act, an act of expression, The act of expression is not through the volition of the personality, is not through the volition of the personality structure, but through the monad, that is in innocence, and is without tarnish, without fear, without shame, and seeks to allow you to be restored to your true grace, Underline that word, grace, your presence in God, the alignment to source, the alignment to source that cannot be made so, that cannot be made so, but can be aligned to, but can be aligned to. You see the aspect of you. You see the aspect of you that would seek to climb the gates of heaven, that would seek to climb the gates of heaven is the aspect of you, is the aspect of you that doesn't know she's already there, that doesn't know she is already there, the aspect of you. The aspect of you that would pray fervently to know God, that would pray fervently to know God is the aspect of you, is the aspect of you that doesn't agree that God could know you, that doesn't agree that God could know you. God is all things. God as all things. God is the sky and sea. God as the sky and sea. God is all things imagined, seen, unseen. God is all things imagined, seen, and unseen. God is source. God as source, and source is unmitigated, and source as unmitigated. All things, ever so, all things always, beyond separation, your idea of who and what you have been, of who and what you have been, is coming to an end, is coming to an end. The species has agreed. The species has agreed to the new, in the claim we teach. And the claim we teach, behold, I make all things new, is the incantation of the Christ, is the incantation of the Christ in operative terms, calling all things to itself in resonance, in truth, and in love, You cannot invoke the claim. You cannot invoke the claim. Behold, I make all things new, as the personality self, but it may be invoked through you, as you are activated through the monad, so it may deliver itself, to your experience, experientially, so you may no longer suppose that God is, but you may only know it, How can this be, Paul asks? How can this be, Paul asks? We are so entrenched in separation, deciding what should be, in deciding what should be. How can we do what you say? How can we do what you say? You are not doing it, Paul. You are not doing it, Paul. It is done as and through. It is done as and through, by alignment, agreement, reconciliation, and the resurrection of the monad, and the resurrection of the monad in its resplendent self, come again for all mankind, humankind if you prefer, there is not one Christ, everyone present holds the light, that seeks to be born as the Christ, the spark of the divine, impressed at all of the conception of being, at the conception of being that seeks expression now, as manifest, as and through each of you, You may say these words after we speak them. You may say these words after we speak them. I am word through my body. I am word through my body. Word, I am word. I am word through my vibration. Word, I am word. I am word through my knowing of myself as word. Word, I am word. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. I am in the upper room. I have come. I have come. I have come. Each of you present. Each of you present may align to this, as we speak on your behalf, as we speak on your behalf on each day, on this day. On this day, we claim and decide that all who hear these words, will be met in fullness, will be met in fullness as the expression of the monad, as the expression of the monad seeks its encounter through them, and through this claim we make, and through this claim we make, and authorization that we hold, and authorization that we hold, we support each who chooses. We support each who chooses the level of realization that is present now, and is seeking to claim each, in its resonant field. We ask them now. If they are willing to be reknown, if they are willing to be reknown. If indeed you are, you may simply say yes. You may simply say yes as we sing through the man before you. As we sing through the man before you, we create a claim. We create a claim, a resonant claim in support of all who say yes, in support of all who say yes. All you must do is rest in the sound, and allow the deliverance, that is now able to be met by you, to be agreed to as presence and being. On this day we claim. On this day we claim that each one present, reknown as they truly are, beyond the old, beyond the template of separation, beyond the template of separation, is resung and reclaimed in the highest octave, they may align to. We know you are. We know who you are. We know what you are. We know what you are. We know yourself. We know how you serve. You are free. You are free. Free. You are free. You are free. You are free. You are in the upper room. You are in the upper room. Now 1, now 2, now 2, now 3. Now 3. Behold, I make all things new. Ask each one present to say yes to the alignment that they have chosen, to be in receipt of the new, and to prepare the self, for the journey we hope for you, when we say hope intentionally, you have free will. How you choose is how you live. How you choose is how you live. How you live is your expression. How you live is your expression at the level of template, that you authorize, in the upper room. The alignment you may hold, in agreement to source. Denies the darkness, not through ignorance, but through illumination. When you shine the light upon the darkness, When you shine the light upon the darkness, it is evaporated. It is evaporated. We love you each as you are. We love you each as you are. We will take a pause for the man in the chair. We will take a pause for the man in the chair and return with questions as you wish. And return with questions as you wish. Stop now, please. Stop now, please.